Our 2024-2025 season previews continue on today with the New York Islanders. The Islanders were a playoff team that has been losing consistently in the first round since 2021 after their two back-to-back trips to the conference finals. Since then, it's been a struggle in Long Island for sure. In 21-22, which is where we'll start with things here, they went 37, 35, and 10 for 84 points. They were 20th in the NHL. It was not a fun year. They faced injuries. The team just didn't look that great. They end up firing Barry Trotz. They bring in Lane Lambert to replace him. And the Trotz firing looked really bad at the time. Lambert made it a little bit better the following year, but obviously things didn't go the way that they wanted it to. They went 42, 31, and 9 for 93 points. They were 15th in the NHL in 2022-23. And of course, they did make the playoffs, but they ended up losing to the Carolina Hurricanes in, I believe, 5 games. It might have been 6. I think it was 5. I'm not 100% sure. I don't really remember because these teams have felt like they played each other millions of times, even though it's only been twice. But regardless, they lost in the first round. That's the furthest I know. In 23-24, the weird thing is they got better points-wise, but they won less games. They went 39, 27, and 16 for 94 points. They were 15th in the NHL yet again. They fire Lambert midway through the season. They bring in Patrick Roy, which was enough to get them into the playoffs, and they end up losing yet again in the first round to the Carolina Hurricanes. Definitely not the outcome they wanted in the playoffs, but hey, they turned it around, got back into the playoffs, and hopefully with Patrick Roy, this team can make it back into the playoffs again this coming season. I do think that the new coaching ad is definitely going to help this team a little bit. It did at the tail end of last year, but a lot of teams tend to do that when they fire a coach. They'll fire someone, bring someone new in, and they'll end up doing really well. Maybe that happens again with the Islanders, and they will be able to carry that success into this coming year, but obviously, we'll see. We'll really see. And this roster, apart from a few ads on the offense, is the same. They brought in Anthony Duclair, Liam Foudy, and Maxim Tisplikov as 3 key arrivals. Not saying they're bad. I like those guys as ads. But I do think that in some terms, obviously they didn't bring in as much as other teams did, which they didn't really need to. But still, it's something you got to point out. But I do like Duclair as a good ad. I think Tisplikov is actually kind of underrated. Is a good KHLer, has been consistent. I think that he could be good this year coming over to the NHL. Some guys who departed, you have Cal Clutterbuck, Matt Martin, and Sebastian Aho. Martin is back on a PTO, so I guess it's a little bit inaccurate, but he's not officially on the team. Clutterbuck will likely not be back. He might come back on a PTO or something, or an AHL contract, but at least as of right now, he is not with an NHL team, and certainly not the New York Islanders. Aho went to Pittsburgh, I believe. So obviously, this team didn't do a lot. They didn't really need to do a lot. I didn't see them making a ton of moves anyways. I didn't think they had the cap space really to do much of anything. Bringing in Duclair was something that surprised me, but I thought it was a really good ad by the team, and I think that overall it improved their offense a lot. It's a really good contract. So you look at this team's offensive forward core. We'll start off with their top 6. You got Anders Lee, Bo Horvat, and Matthew Barzal as your first line. Then you got Pierre Engvall, Brock Nelson, and Kyle Palmieri as your second line. So that's a pretty solid top 6. Those are a lot of guys in there who actually had pretty good years last year. Horvat definitely took a step back from that career contract year, but still was pretty good. Barzal had a very good year. I feel like he really flourished under Patrick Roy, and that really made him get back to his point total, which we'll get into in a little bit here. But he actually had the second most point total since his rookie season. So again, he's really struggled to get a consistent amount of points. But maybe with Patrick Roy, that could change for sure. We know Barzal, has the skill. It's been a long day. I'm tired. But overall, that's a pretty solid top 6. Second line's pretty good too. We know Brock Nelson can score. I like Palmieri there. It's just a matter of a lot of those guys are a little bit getting up there in age. can they keep the consistency up at their age? That's the biggest question, I would say, with that forward core right now. Your bottom six, Anthony Duclair, John Gabriel Pageau, and Simon Holmstrom. Then you have Kyle McLean, Casey Zizekas, and Oliver Wahlstrom as your fourth line. Then for some depth, you have Hudson Fasching, Liam Foudy, and Maxim Teslikov. So some solid forwards down the chart for sure. I don't mind that bottom six. Pageau, they've been looking to trade him from what I've heard, but I do think that he's a good third-line center. Holmstrom had a pretty good year on the penalty kill last year, scored a lot of shorthanded goals. If he can contribute that to 5v5 and maybe even power play if he gets time there, that could turn out really good for the Islanders. Wahlstrom, I'm not terribly high on. I think Wahlstrom's had his chances. He hasn't really produced on that, but maybe with a more offensive coach like Wah, maybe he will somehow turn for the better. We'll see. But overall, I haven't seen enough from Wahlstrom to really scream to me that he's going to take that step. Duclair, I like him as a good ad. I think there's a chance that he does get up to that top six past Engvall, but he could definitely score you some points. I definitely think they probably did get better offensively. I like a lot of the ads they made. Defensively, they're pretty much the same. They have Romanov and Dobson as their first pairing. They have Pelech and Pulak as their second pairing. They have Riley and Mayfield as their third pairing, and then they have Boldu as their seventh defender. So, not a bad defensive core. Romanov, good first pairing guy. Dobson took a big step last year. If he can keep that offense and keep the defense as well, I think the Islanders are in a really good spot there. I did like how Pelech and Pulak played. They're a very good defensive tandem. And then obviously, too, your third pairing it's okay. I'm not a big fan of Mayfield or that contract, but I don't think it's terrible. Your goaltending is the same as it's been. Sorokin and Varlamov are your starter and your backup. I think that Sorokin, last year was a little bit of a down season for him. Hopefully, he can bounce back from that, but we did hear reports that he might be dealing with something, so we'll see what happens there. But if this is the fully healthy projected lineup, this is pretty much what it would look like. Maybe there's a few changes I would make. Maybe move Teslikov up a little bit because I think he could make the team. But overall, I think it's a pretty good roster. I know there's some people who say that it's mediocre. They have a mid-future. Yeah, their future might not be that great. I think picking up Cole Eiserman was a good draft choice, but it doesn't change things completely. I hope that doesn't make people mad saying that, but I do think that this team isn't as bad as people say it is, but I also do think that I could see them missing this coming year, so it wouldn't surprise me either way. When you go over to the coaching staff, again, as I mentioned Patrick Waugh a lot in these videos. Lou Lamoriello, obviously the general manager. I'm not 100% sure if he will get hired or will get fired this year. I would imagine probably not. If they miss the playoffs, maybe. But he's been there for so long that I just think he's just going to live and work for the Islanders forever. That's kind of where I am at this point with Lou Lamoriello and the Islanders. When you get into their Hockey News' yearbook, it has them fourth in the Metropolitan, so they are in a wild card spot. Their cup odds are 29-1. Their biggest X factor is Barzal continues to elevate his game, and the 27-year-old needs to keep that going as he enters his 8th full NHL season. Barzal scored a career-high 23 goals last season, and his 80 points were second most to his 85 he recorded in his 2017-18 rookie year. The playmaker needs to be better at a 5v5 and on the power play for the Islanders to excel. So again, a lot of it does lie on Barzal. There are guys who can score, but I would confidently say that almost none of them can score like Matthew Barzal can. So if Barzal can keep up that scoring, maybe even get a little bit better, score a few more goals next year, I consider that a win, and I think that the Islanders will benefit from that heavily. In terms of them making the playoffs, I really don't know. I could say yes, I could say no. It's night and day for me right now with the Islanders. I think they're battling with a lot of teams in that Eastern Conference, like Pittsburgh, Washington. I guess you want to put Philly in that conversation. I'm not particularly interested in that, though, as a Flyers fan myself. But regardless, this is a solid team. This is probably a team that can make the playoffs. It's just a matter of where will they finish in the standings. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. I really appreciate it. We're going to keep these going. We got 2 today. We got the Rangers and the Senators tomorrow. We're just going to move swiftly through these, hopefully get these done. And then I got to start worrying about division predictions, and then I got to finish up the prospect pool reviews as well. So Lots of content coming your way on the YouTube channel, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.